Hello, Miami. This is 305 Sports Down, your whole podcast and channel for all things Miami sports related. I am Will, and today we'll be discussing pretty much Alex Mirabal. Yes, Alex Mirabal, the offensive line coach and the assistant head coach of Miami Hurricanes, where the offensive line has been a topic of conversation, not just last season, but this season as well. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. But the first thing I wanted to address is us losing Kamarion Franklin. Baron Franklin ends up picking Ole Miss. He ends up staying home. So this is something that we as Canes fans, we are experimenting. Mainly because in many cases that we just didn't have a good season last year. We're 5-7. We're still in line though, pretty much for some top prospects. We even still landed a top prospect in Artavius Jones, and we're in line still for David Stone as well. We'll see what happens next week. So it's tough for me as a Miami Hurricanes fan. I'm not going to sit. I'm an optimistic guy, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm not disappointed in the fact that we lost another blue chip recruit to another school, especially in the SEC. But I have to agree with Jimmy Leon on Twitter, where Jimmy Leon said that there is a lure playing for the SEC because they've been such a dominant conference, and Miami's record doesn't help them very well. Last season, we were able to do very well and keep our recruits because we had a lot of hype, right, coming into the season, and Mario was able to keep a lot of recruits that agreed to be part of the class of 2023, because of what, he was offering them, as far as player development and et cetera. And also NIL deals had a role to play, I believe, there as well. But I think it was more about player development, to be frank with you. But as far as the season, Miami's going to have to prove it on the field more. I do think Miami will have a top 10 class by said and done. If not top 10, definitely top 15. And also, I also do believe we will have some flips. As long as Miami wins football games and both sides of the ball look improved, fluid, dominant, exciting, the recruits will come. Okay. Again, Florida State had a 10-win season, and therefore they're doing very well. I can't explain the Gators, but nonetheless, at least with Florida State, I can say the 10-win season, development of Norvell, and so on. That is something that has helped them out quite a bit. Okay, so Kings fans, let's hope David Stowe comes in. If David Stowe comes in, that helps out our class a bit. That also gives us two top blue chippers as of right now, within our interior tackle position. I know the rumor has it going to Oklahoma, but we'll see. All right, we'll see. I have seen some stuff on Twitter, and also I've also seen some stuff on social media, but he could be, just I guess, kind of like just, enjoying his recruitment. Okay, I won't say anything else because I'm not in the kid's head. But the bottom line is, though, I mean, Hurricanes fans, this is just a bit of a storm. Let's weather it for now. If we have a good season, it will be a top 10 class yearly. Okay. All right, ladies and gents. Again, now I wanted to talk a little bit about Alex Mirabal. Alex Mirabal has an interesting story because he's basically joined at the hip with Mario Cristobal. With the exception of a stint over at Marshall, he's been with Mario basically his entire life. They both went to Columbus together. Okay. Mario Cristobal had Alex Mirabal over coaching tight ends and O linemen at FIU as well. Then, we have the 10-year Oregon, and now he's with us with the Miami Hurricanes. Okay. Now, I know last year the offensive line didn't improve much. It was a different kind of line. It was a offensive line that was made more for finesse, while Mark Cristobal and Alex Mirabal want a line built for power, and that's what they're working more towards in the offseason. That's more likely what we'll see more this upcoming season as well. All right, but just give a little bit of perspective on Mirabal, from the Oregon side of the equation. Now, I just want to say a little bit more from the Oregon perspective. At Oregon, they had 3 straight, Pac-12 championship appearances, okay, winning 2 of them, losing the last one to Utah, okay? The offensive line plays a very key role in the offense. Now, a lot of people in Oregon, it's a bit of a mixed bag about how the offense ranked, as far as with Mario, comparable to, let's say, Ohio State, other schools where the offense is a bit more dominant. But I will say this, though. As a Miami Hurricanes fan, I would kill for the kind of consistency they had up in Oregon, for a while, especially having Justin Herbert. It doesn't help either having a top 10 quarterback, which, by the way, went in being coached at his last season with Mario, as well. All right, but they had 3 straight Pac-12 appearances in 2019. the offense was 16th in the nation, averaging 35.4 points per game in 2019. Again, that was a Herbert year. In 2021, the offense ran the football for 203 yards per game, 24th in the country. They had 2 games in which they ran the football for 300 yards. Twice they did that. Okay, the offensive line is everything. If the offense is going to work, the O line has got to be strong. All right, an offense is only as good as 2 things: its offensive line and its quarterback. If its quarterback is not getting protected, the offense goes nowhere. We saw it last year with TVD. TVD was running for his life on many occasions because the offensive line protection broke down, and the offensive linemen just didn't do their jobs as far as protecting the quarterback. And also there was issues with coaching as well. The coaching was not on the same page. That almost going to include Coach Mirabal in that category, as well. Then of course you have Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell, the Outland Trophy winner, was seventh pick in the draft. And that's because the coaching of Alex Mirabal, Coach Cristobal, etc. So Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal, they've had some success, over at the offensive line position, even on offense as well. Mirabal was also here at FIU as well, and FIU was able to win its first bowl game under the coaching of Mario Cristobal and also Alex Mirabal. Okay, now let's get into, as I mentioned, last season. Right, last season it was just putrid. Okay, offensive line play was horrible. I know I put a lot on Josh Gaddis, but also that has to fall into the rest of the coaching staff as well. And you got to work what you have, and the offensive line just didn't work. Okay, so I give Coach Mirabal a mulligan, for this season because it was the first season, it wasn't his guys, the personnel was not up to his standing, and so on. But last season the Canes gave up 80 sacks, right? 80 sacks were given up by the offensive line last year. 96 in rushing last year. It was 120 yards per game Miami averaged. They were horrific. But we do have a new line with some shakeup as well. We did a lot in the transfer portal this offseason, bringing guys like Matt Lee and, of course, Javion Cohen. And that is going to very much help, as Matt Lee was rated one of the highest, if not the highest, offensive linemen coming into the transfer portal this past offseason. And then, of course, you have Javion Cohen, who never gave up a sack over at Alabama, all right, either. All right, so as of right now, the offensive line looks like this, leading off with center Matt Lee. Okay, you have Javion Cohen playing left guard. You have Jalen Rivers playing left tackle. We'll see what happens if they move him to right guard once Dion Nelson gets back. Okay, then you have Ines Cooper playing the right guard position, the young big guy, right, as well. And then you have Francis Mauigoa, playing the right tackle position, as well. So this is something that I'm concerned. The only thing I'm concerned with is the right side of our offensive line. Not that there's not talent there, that they're just really young. And when they face, upcoming very strong pass rush from teams, like A&M, from teams like Florida State and Clemson, let's see how they react. Now, the talent is there. Okay, Mauigoa is ahead of his years, especially what I've heard from reports from practice and so on, and the coaching staff. But we'll see what happens, okay? Because, some of the guys will be taking on, like Jared Verse over at Florida State, they're veteran. That's a veteran end, okay? He's no slouch, projected first-round pick if he comes out in this year's draft as well. Okay, so the first 4 games I think will be very important. Okay, so the Miami Ohio game, they need to show their dominance. They need to crush Miami of Ohio. They're much better than Bethune was last season. They need to crush Miami Ohio. A&M is going to be very, very pivotal. I do think the Miami Hurricanes being at home, depending on A&M is the season, should be able to win this football game. Last year was very winnable. They lost that football game last year because they couldn't score basically from like the 1-yard line on several occasions. They had some very key drops, one at the beginning of the game and one at the end of the game between Henry Parrish and Brashard Smith. All right, as well. Michael Redding also had a couple drops as well in that game that could have extended drives and could have taken the lead on several occasions. Miami has got to show they can win that game. And that's a good victory for Miami. I don't know how A&M is going to end up this year, so that's something that needs to be said. A&M was expected to be a very good football team last year. They weren't. But nonetheless, it's an SEC team, all right? It's an SEC team with a lot of financial success, okay, meaning that they have good NIL there. It means they get good players as well. They had a top class in 2022. It was 2022. They had a top class in 2022. That was the Shamar Stewart class, that Miami and A&M were battling for him, as well. So we'll see what happens, as far as that game goes. That game is going to be very important. And then, of course, when they take on Clemson as well. Okay, Miami needs to get an upset from one of those two teams, right? So one of those two teams, the Miami Hurricanes have got to beat as well. And the line has got to play very well. And the running game is going to be very good. I will say this, though. I do believe that by the end of the season, the Miami Hurricane offensive line will be completely in sync, and the running game is really going to take off at the back end of the season. I do think the running game could be successful and will be successful early on against your Bethunes, against, your Georgia Techs, against your Miami Ohio's, as well. I do think that, they will be successful. The test will definitely be the Clemsons and the, and the A&Ms of the world. So I do think the Miami Hurricane offensive line will play a role. Listen, Alex Mirabal is a very good coach. Okay. He's proven it wherever he's gone. He proved it at FIU, being a good position coach, as FIU was successful under his when he was a position coach there, when Mario was a head coach. He had a stint at the Thundering Herd at Marshall. He had the offense, the running game did very well when he was there at Marshall. So one time he wasn't with Mario, that Mario was an assistant coach, at Alabama. And then, of course, you have the Oregon years where they produced guys like CJ Verdell, who ran the ball very well. Trey Benson was killing it over at Florida State, was he running back over at Oregon, had success there as well. So we'll see what goes on, right? We'll see what goes on, as time progresses. So this season, let's go Canes. We need to get at least, I know a lot of you are going to kill me for this because I'm not being overly optimistic, but we have to be practical and reasonable. We were 5-7 last year. 8 wins is a successful year, and hopefully get that bowl game, which will make it a 9-win season. All right. And that's really going to catapult you in the recruiting class, in the recruiting cycle for the 2025 season. All right, everybody, that's it for me. All right, straight to the point. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. Once again, I will stay safe. God bless. See you soon. Go Canes. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, William Perjone at 305 Sports Now. Have a good day, guys. Have a good Sunday. Bye-bye, guys. Go Canes.